changed in so many ways at once. Has the day begun? I lived one life. As the day ended, I had begun anew, reborn with a new life, a new mission, reborn with a new vision. What may come, I don't know yet, but I am here alive, living my life to the fullest, with new love in my heart and soul, a gift to have, a gift to give, a new life of love, reborn.
Good afternoon, you lovely humans. Today is Tuesday, July 29th, 2025. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And thank you to those of you who are on the replay crew. Always interested to hear what you have to say, so feel free to leave a comment. For those of you behind the scenes, thank you for being here as well. And I know I've talked about this before, and before we jump into the topic of forgiveness, part of my journey, my healing journey, Indigo, big hugs. Thank you for being here. Part of my journey, my healing journey, my evolution or revolutionary evolution of self is to really look in the mirror, to be true, to accept responsibility for me. And it's been a weird year so far. We're ending the month, so we're 7 months into 2025. I keep thinking 2025 is about to begin. And now we've crossed over. And I know I personally have grown. And I've talked about this briefly, that I took a course for over a year called The Living Art. And it's being modified, shall we say. But one of the things that my teacher was so instrumental in facilitating my growth was to acknowledge and recognize there's the old self and the new self. And we are in this yin and yang circle, right? So we're a amalgamation, we're a compilation of all these elements, all these stories that we've told from the day we were born until our current time. And when we think about forgiveness, when we think about regrets, when we think about shame, sorrow, some of the self-imposed lessons or what we thought were observations of others. And I have to be honest, not everything in the world is about us, but we take it that way because of how it's presented to us. And I speak about me, right? So forgiveness isn't about excusing something that has happened to us or that we have done. It's not excusing it. It's not letting somebody or yourself off the hook. It's about choosing to free yourself from the weight and the pain and the energy that's holding you back. And that's my journey, holding me back. I'm holding me back. And so I thought it was important for us to talk about it again. And look, as always, people, I am not a therapist. I am not a professional, medical or otherwise. I am an experiencer who's been studying this topic and so many other evolutionary topics for my own self growth. For me to work through things, to be a better person, to like myself, to like others. And so, what we're going to explore today, I think, a little bit more is, what does forgiveness really mean? Why is it so hard to do? Maybe some practical ways to release what no longer serves us, right? Um, and maybe, we'll see what happens with the rest of the time and sort of the interaction. So just for a moment, close your eyes and just take a breath in and out. In and out. And put your hands on your heart and your solar plexus. We are in a safe space here. And that, above all, is really what I want to communicate to everybody. We are in a safe space. And yeah. So where do we start? What forgiveness really is and isn't? So what comes to mind to you when I say forgiveness? And if you're comfortable, put it in the chat. I think for many of us, what's been taught to us as forgetting, excuses, maybe reconciling. Hey, B, thanks for coming. Hope you're well. But, forgiveness is really none of those things. Forgiveness is an inner release. It's saying, I will no longer allow this hurt to live rent-free in my heart, in my mind, in my body, in my soul, however it resonates with you. But it's an inner release. I will no longer allow this hurt to live rent-free in my heart. It doesn't mean, and I really want to be clear about this, again, I'm not a professional, but it doesn't mean that whatever happened was okay. It doesn't mean that you have to reconcile with the person. And it doesn't mean that you are weak for letting it go. Does that make sense? It means you are strong enough to choose peace over pain. So what's one thing you used to believe about forgiveness that you see differently now? And I'm just curious. What's one thing you used to believe about forgiveness that you now see differently? And I, as you're thinking about it, I'll chime in and say that, I always thought that forgiving was godly, was holy, and would somehow solve all my problems. I think what has given me permission to say is it's not my job to absolve. In nomine Patri et Filii Spiritus Sancti. I'm not God. I'm not a priest. Great. So B is saying that forgiveness to me also includes lightening my heart and soul. I can't carry it. I know it's been affecting my body as well. And that is 100% One of the things I think we all do. Oh, Indigo from your phone. Thank you, Indigo. I think what we all do is we don't recognize that holding stuff in us and not releasing it impacts our health, physical, emotional, spiritual. It does. And so, when we talk about what happens when we don't forgive, and this is piggybacking on what B said, you know, holding on to anger is like drinking poison, in my opinion, by the way. It's expecting the other person to suffer. That doesn't make any sense. So, one of the things that I learned in my studies of forgiveness was that science, so not just Teresa sitting here talking with her hands, has shown that, resentment and anger affects your stress levels, your immune system, even your sleep. So when we hold all this in, it's like we are tethered to the past. We're reliving it over and over and over. I was not spanked as a child, but I remember the one time that I was sort of reprimanded with a slap. I remember it today. Like, oh my God, Teresa, it was a little slap. I remember every disciplinary action. So and this isn't about forgiveness per se, it's just to illustrate that we hold on to stuff. And it's not stuff I want to retain. I want to let it go out into the world and say, I'm recycling this information, this feeling, this resentment, this anger. It does not serve my higher purpose of feeling lighter and cleaner. For me, it feels cleaner. And so just remember, you can always take a breath and just ask yourself, where am I still carrying the pain that doesn't belong in my future? Where am I carrying pain that doesn't belong in my future? And I would even just prompt you guys, is there an old hurt that still takes up space in your thoughts or heart? And again, I'm not asking you to, spill your guts here. It's just really to generate conversation that says, yeah, I'm still holding on to some shit. And it's taken up resonance in my heart. It's taken resonance up in my thoughts. And I would encourage that gentle honesty to yourself to say, I'm still holding on to that. And that happened, in my case, it would be 40 years ago. And it's not about judgment, it's about awareness. That situation is done, it's gone, it's over. And we're going to talk about techniques of releasing. And we've talked about this before, so it's not new information. But recently I did this again, and the value of it was profound. And one of the things that I did was write. I wrote a note, dear person, and I put my thoughts and feelings and emotions and everything onto a piece of paper. And then at the very end, I forgive you, I release you, and I burned it. Here's my caveat, people. Use a bowl, put it in there and burn it. Don't just, because the weather these days, it could go poof. Indigo says, I found that starting the journey to forgiving is harder in some cases for me. And look, it's not about absolving the person or the event. The forgiveness is truly about releasing something that's holding you personally back. And yes, it's not an easy thing. That's why I recently just wrote it down, because I'm like, why am I holding on to something that happened so long ago? I know for a fact the person wouldn't even recall it. And it's not of importance or value to that person, right? So, and I think that's why it's kind of, it's almost some of the feelings I've had, I was dismissing, I felt were silly, but it still was taking up residence and space in my head. And forgiveness feels hard. It's not, it may be so freeing, but it is not an easy thing to do. So, in respect to indigo, sometimes we want that person to know they caused pain. You wounded me. You hurt me, person ABC. And forgiving feels like I lost, right? Or I'm surrendering. I'm giving up. Okay, you win. And that's truly not what it's about. And also, and I know many of us are survivors of inappropriate encounters on our person. I have to be careful what I say, right? Um, we've been violated in some capacity. And sometimes we fear that if we forgive it, we say that it was okay that it happened. And the truth is, forgiveness isn't for that person, it's for you. It's reclaiming your energy and cutting the cord that keeps us bound to that moment in time, that pain. And look, sometimes pain reminds us that we are, in fact, still alive. Um, and I would ask you guys, have you ever held on to anger because letting go felt like you were giving up your power? And I will take a sip of tea while you think about that. Have you ever held on to anger because letting go felt like giving up on your power? I'm staying hydrated. It's in the high 90s here, but I think my friend Christy, she said it was 112 wherever the hell she is. Um, and that's in Fahrenheit. So, ay, 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 too hot for this girl. So I'm trying to stay hydrated. And my poor pups, I wish you could see them. They're looking at me very pathetically because, as much as I have kept my living room space cool, I know they want to go outside for a walk. And the moment I open the door, they look at me like, lady, you are tripping if you think I'm going out there. So, um, oh, it says no. Id say no. It's harder to forgive when I know the person hasn't changed. And it's not about the person. And that's the challenge. And this is a big one. You can't forgive without reconciling within yourself. That person won't change. And this has been, um, it's been a conversation with multiple therapists in my lifetime. I just wanted to make that person see that what they said and continue to say or do is hurtful. It hurts. You're hurting my feelings. You're hurting my spirit. You're hurting my ego. You're hurting, that little girl, the young woman, and now the woman. You're hurting me. That person isn't going to change. Forgiveness isn't about that person. And it has taken me a really long time, Indigo. And I think I still struggle sometimes with that. Um, Forgiveness is that inner decision that you make. It's the reconciliation is not about reconciling with the person. It's reconciling with that version of you. And sometimes the most loving thing that you can do for yourself is to forgive and love somebody at a distance. Mesh. I hope you got my message. I've been thinking about you, sending you big hugs, my friend. So nice to see you. You're joining a really good group of ladies here. Actually, I should just say people. And so, you know, the forgiveness, the most loving thing you can do is for yourself to forgive and to love someone from a distance or not love them at all and be okay with that. Boundaries aren't walls, they're not gates. Well, let me reverse that. I feel like Willy Wonka. Oh, wait, reverse that. Um, oh, thank you. Boundaries are not walls. They're gates, to protect our peace, right? So what's going to come in and come out of our gate? And yeah, absolutely, Indigo. I so respect that. And it does take time to think about, the hurt. What is what is it about that you're holding on to? And again, sometimes we need to. Oh, thank you, sweetheart. We're so happy you're here. Um, and I will accept every bit of love, light, friendship. Karen Suki, welcome. Thank you for being here. We're talking forgiveness, all things forgiveness. So, I think one of the things that I was challenged with was, can you forgive someone and still choose to keep your distance? Because forgiving doesn't mean that you're going to go running into their arms and welcoming them back into your life, right? Forgiveness is, I forgive person X, Y, and Z, but I am also keenly aware that person isn't good for me. And when someone can't change themselves, and that includes us, right? We're not uh, without absolution here. I have made a lot of things that probably I should be asking forgiveness of, right? Please forgive me. I think that's why I love and responded to the Ho'oponopono so well, because it's please forgive me. I'm sorry. I love you and thank you. It's but it's also doesn't have to be received by someone else. Because the recipient of either your forgiveness, you are giving them forgiveness, or you're asking forgiveness, um, may not come in the way that we picture it or paint it or desire it. And so it's not about us. So Indigo is saying, maybe I have to ask what hurt me, because honestly, I would love to unburden the weight of it. Amen. Karen says, one of the most important things we can do for our self growth is forgive. And I echo all of that, you guys, because it is, and let's be clear, forgiveness is not easy. And that's why, recently I wrote that letter and just said, person ABC, I named them. I wrote what I considered my injuries. That person could be oblivious to what their participation was in my hurt. But this is something I needed to write out because I thought I had already dealt with it. And it kept haunting me. And it's a journey. Forgiveness is a journey. It's not something that happens like that. It's acknowledging the pain and not minimizing it. It's also feel it fully because it's yours. And our emotions, our hurt, our sorrow, our anger. I'm angry. I'm effing pissed off. And if the person was in front of me, I'd want to shake them. Do you see what you are doing to me, to the other people, but I can't speak for other people, what you're doing to me. And then I'm like, you know what? You don't have power over me anymore. I am releasing you. I am releasing that situation. I'm letting it go. I'm not holding on to it because I don't get to be the new me. I don't get to evolve if I am still stuck in that mud, that quicksand where I cannot keep my head above water. Mish says, sometimes distance is so necessary. Told my daughter yesterday something I wish I would have realized decades ago. We hate ourselves because we treat our future selves horribly. Start living for them. And beautifully said. I don't think I could have, articulated it as well. We are really good at what do they call it? Self-flagellation. We can beat ourselves. And yes, we've made mistakes. Again, we need to acknowledge I was not a perfect human being. I said things that probably wounded people deeply. Deeply. So there's no halo over this head. But I have to let it go. Because in some cases, and in this one instance, I did apologize. I don't know if it was received or not, if it was truly forgiven or not, but it's okay. Because that's not my journey, that's that person's journey. My journey was to say I'm sorry. In other instances, it's to acknowledge it, say I'm sorry, and be better. Don't repeat the same patterns. In my case, so I'm not a professional, not telling anybody how to go about forgiving. Look, we have some people in this community that have some deep shit. And, we can close our eyes and we can visualize that hurt like a heavy object. I've talked about it before, carrying a backpack filled with like bricks and more, all the heavy boulders. Oh my God, I wish you could see this cute boy staring at me. He's about the cutest thing. He knows mommy needs love. And feel the weight of that situation, right? Now, I challenge you and imagine taking off that backpack, putting it gently down, and releasing it. Can you feel and breathe and notice the lightness in your body? That's our forgiveness. The essence of forgiveness is a conscious decision to set down whatever was never yours to carry in the first place, or carry it forever. Pearls of Wisdom by Teresa. It's like forgiveness isn't just an emotional cleansing. It's a spiritual evolution. Every time you forgive, you raise your vibration because you're putting, and we talked about vibrations last week, you're putting and identifying that which you had to learn from. The other thing about forgiveness that I've personally experienced, that I continue to work on, is when something is happening at that moment in time, I use my hand, it's been a visual stop sign, and in my mind it says stop. Because, and we've said this word, words have power. I'm not taking crap anymore. Right? So by us saying, whoa, 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 let's breathe together. What I'm hearing is this, and it's not about me. So please don't direct that at me. That hurts my feelings when you say that. We can go about saying certain phrases, certain words, we can express ourselves without being mean, because I think my initial response And it was definitely a childlike response because I didn't have the words to defend myself. It's kind of like, well, you have cooties too. You're a stinker too. We could say, well, you're an a-hole or whatever. Yes, they very well may be. So it doesn't mean that we have to keep putting ourselves in the same situation to keep reliving a current hurt. Our old hurts are our old hurts, and that's part of forgiveness. We can put those away, but the lessons that teaches us is we don't have to take crap anymore. Mish says, sometimes deep shit. We can live in that yuck, thinking about that yuck, staying in that yuck, giving that yuck power, and keeping the person who gave us the yuck homage, or take back our lives and move forward. Abso-freaking-lutely. And Karen, when it comes to forgiveness and or anger, I always go back to the story of the two wolves. I don't know that story. Is that a child's story, the two wolves? Because I'd like to know about it. So yeah, I keep looking over the comments for people watching my face go back and forth. Making room for compassion, for peace, for joy, for acceptance, that's always a release and invigorating thing. Because, and look, we don't have to forgive all of the people that have pooped on us. Native American. Okay, I'll have to look at it. Oh, please summarize. Yes. Unless you want to come on live with me and share the story, because I'll put your face up there on the channel. You can tell the story. I want to forgive. So Indigo says, I want to forgive and maybe open the door for reconnection. The hurt happened around my birth mom's funeral with another relative. So it also is wrapped up in grief. So yes, and look, if you want reconnection, that's great. I am going to sneeze. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. It came from nowhere. So when we start blending grief in with our hurts, it's a whole nother ball of wax. And I also would say, if you truly wish to reconnect, then the one thing that I would offer is for you to really look at the situation that occurred and say to yourself, why am I so hurt by whatever happened? Did I feel excluded or ignored or forgotten or whatever it is? And is this something that will continue to happen if I reconnect? Right? So if you reconnect, is it still going to continue? If it's wrapped up in grief, then I would say give yourself the time to, again, there's no TikTok on this, right? There's no time limit. You get to decide the importance of your healing journey and when you're ready. I'll look up the poem. No face. And this says, yeah, mission is, I keep thinking about it. I feel like it's time to heal. Yeah, look, we all, I've talked about grief before. I'll continue to talk about it till the day I die. But I'm bummed because grief is powerful and our emotions are so raw. Our feelings are so raw. I'm experiencing it today and I'm not in a frame of mind to share, and it is related to my dad. But I'm going to end up sharing. I was asked to help with preparations. And I respect the other person and their journey that they're going on. It's incredibly raw and powerful. It can be debilitating. But I am being excluded at every turn. This is how I feel. That person probably doesn't feel this. I don't have the vocabulary to articulate it right now without either crying or getting really pissed. And I'm holding on until next Saturday when it's all said and done and over. And I don't have to be involved in any other combination of sort of putting my dad to bed, to rest. Yeah, I'm going to leave it at that because there's a few things I want to say, but I may get bit in the ass. So this may not be the place to share. What I would say is grief is an emotion. It's an experience. It colors our perspective at a moment in time. So give yourself an effing break. Give yourself some grace, Indigo. When you're ready, unless you feel a sense of urgency to resolve this now, maybe just say, you know what, I forgive the experience, and in time I'll forgive the person. Or not. Karen says, or actually, no, this is Mish saying at Karen, I have been going live for a while now and have only shown my face once during that time. Most of us just want you to share. If you want to, I'm sure Teresa would agree. Yes, but that's okay. I mean, I get it. I really do. Yeah, and I agree, Indigo. Um, when you're ready, you're ready. Now, hang on. I feel like I've missed a few chats, so let me just do. Which one wins? Grandfather. The grandfather says the one we feed. Um, all right. Yeah, I'm definitely going to read this. So Karen says, "Oh, you messaged the poem. Thank you." A boy and his grandfather, and the boy asking about his two parts. The one that is angry and the one is happy. Grandfather says that those are like two wolves inside you. Ah, all right. And let me just see. You messaged it. Oh, great. You messaged me that link. Super. The grandfather says holding on to anger is like drinking poison and hoping your enemy dies. And we don't wish those things. We don't. We truly don't. Sometimes I think, there are days I just, my imagination goes all medieval with how I want to retaliate against those that have hurt me. What does it gain me? Because then I'm going to feel even more guilty and more shame and more anger and more hurt and more pain and more suffering. You know, um, People think about someone who's forgiven something unimaginable. And I'm going to bring up Nelson Mandela. He was in prison for 27 years for no freaking reason. And he said, oh, this is part of very similar. He said, I have it written down, resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies. So maybe the story of the two wolves, that's where it comes from. Or maybe that's where Mandela got it from. So what could become possible for me if I fully let it go? What's one gift for what? Oh my God, I'm not drunk or anything. I'm having problems speaking. What's one gift forgiveness can bring into your life, into my life? And so some of the things that I've talked about in the past is the forgiveness letter. pour your feelings out without sending it. Please don't send it. This isn't for that person. That's a whole different letter. Write and get it out for you. Do the Ho'oponopono prayer, which is, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Right? It's, use guided meditation. Reframe. That's the other thing. Try to see the other person through the lens of their own wounds, not excusing it, but to understand it. Karen says it's supposed to be a Native American proverb, but the angry part may come from Mandela. Look, you know what, Karen? It very well could be that Mandela, who is incredibly well read, knows this story. So I just happened to write it down and didn't realize it. So I wanted to share it. Aria, hello, welcome. So, when we think about it, choose a practice tonight. Maybe use the Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry, because sometimes we all have a part in what needs to be forgiven. Please forgive me. And you can be specific. I'm sorry you felt it necessary to insult me. Please forgive me for my response of wanting you to suffer. Thank you for being an example in my life of how I don't want to behave. I love you because I am filled with love and light. You could just say simply, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And you can say those in any way you want. Forgiveness is a muscle. The more that we work it, the stronger it becomes. Okay, this is not exciting to look at. It's pretty flabby. I often think that, we as a collective, we're so angry and we're so hurt. We're hurt by the elders in our life. That could be teachers, priests, rabbis, elders. Did I say teachers? Influencers, community participants. We're hurt all the time. Now, when I was a little girl, I was very sensitive and my feelings were always getting hurt. What I wasn't able to articulate is how the comments made me feel. Now, maybe they were right and I was too sensitive. It's possible. I was incredibly empathic. So when I saw anybody suffering, I was wounded. I was hurt for that person. If you criticized me as a little girl, it impacted my self-worth and my self-value. These are things that we carry throughout our lives. How do we forgive it and release it? I don't want that to take up residence anymore in this inn. I'm like Vegas. I don't want to know about it anymore. It's gone. Let it go. Don't make me sing, people. I'll sing. And maybe, notice the emotions and let them be there without any judgment. Right? Maybe repeat, I no longer choose to carry this pain. I release the hold this hurt has on me. I forgive not because it was okay, but because I choose peace over pain, freedom over resentment. And imagine that hurt, that energy dissolving into the light. and breathe in and breathe out. And so your meditation is going to be releasing it. When the super empath starts to feel numb, what then? So, Mish, I actually would have a conversation with you about this in that you need to create your own boundaries of what you're going to absorb, what you're going to respond to, how you're going to allow it to infiltrate your mind, your body, everything. Because it's the empath. We have a tendency sometimes to take it on because it brings something to us. A sense of importance, sense of worthiness, value. It validates your existence. So we have to kind of reflect and own, what is it about taking all of this that is it doing something for me? And do I need to acknowledge that? And I I struggle a little bit with this, but less so now because I've gone through this program and I go through these teachings, and I really sit with putting around me that bubble. Intentionally, I put the bubble around me. Intentionally, I draw a circle around myself. Intentionally, I put my hands around my body. And I'm like, no, I'm not owning someone else's stuff. Not. Doesn't mean that I can't be there for you. It doesn't mean that I'm not a resource and an ear to listen. But I also have to know that at some point I have to say, I'm sorry that you're experiencing this. How can I help you find a resource? Because I'm not the person. We're not professionals. And even if we were professionals, sometimes professionals just can't take on more stuff. We have to say no more. I'm seeing a whole bunch of comments. Let me just get there. Karen says, as a partial empath, I should stop watching sad YouTube videos of animal rescues, but you like the happy endings. And my love for animals has increased exponentially over the last few years. Yeah, absolutely. And it's so painful, Mish, so overwhelming, the emotions of others, but I would rather feel them than nothing at all. That is what scares me the most. So, yeah, I'd love to chat with you. I think hearing other people's stories and wanting to be there for them is such an elevator of our own self worth. And this is all my opinion. Taking off my glasses so you can see my eyes. It's allowing ourselves to say, if the situation is right, of course, I love you and I am so sorry you are going through that. What do you want to do to solve the situation? You have to put it on them because it's their journey. Your journey is to be comforting arms and a loving resource, but it's not for you to solve for them. It's almost like a hospice journey, right? You're a nurse or a hospice caregiver. You can't die for that person. You can't take on their illness. You may not even be able to administer medications. Your role is to sit there and be a witness to their situation and their journey. Being a witness is painful. And I think all of us wish that inner healer can just reach out and touch and make it all go away. like a mom with a child that's got a boo-boo on the knee. We want to make it go away. I don't want you to feel pain. I don't want you to feel sorrow. I don't want you to feel hurt. I don't want you to feel fear. But each of us has our own journey, and sometimes that person's journey is to go through the muck and the guck and the yuck because they have to learn, and the only way they're going to learn and look into the mirror is they have to see themselves. But if you do it for them, it's a disservice to that person, in my humble opinion. Karen says, yes, me too. I like feeling everything, everything. And nowadays, anytime a person is hurting on TV and movies, you start crying. And part of that, and I've talked a lot about this in my lifetime, in my healing journey, is it allowed me to believe I still had feelings because I was shutting down in real time. So feeling everybody else's stuff was, wow, I have feelings. I'm still alive. But now I'm carrying Tallulah's, wounded self from a shooting in East, Palookaville. And you feel the sorrow that the family's going through. You feel the grief. It's not yours. And owning it brings you something. So it's being aware of what is it bringing you. Mish says they started for my safety as a gauge, I believe, but the last few years I ball watching game reality shows when someone wins. Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of we have big fields. We have big fields. And looking at someone else, you're diverting the energy from looking at you. I don't want to be the truth sayer. Sorry. Still love me. I think that, we have to forgive ourselves. We have to say, my flaws, my decisions have impacted other people in my life, sometimes not for the best. And I feel like crap about it. So I'm going to inundate myself with all of this other stuff. And I do this still today. So, Mish, you're not alone. And Karen, I watch Datelines. I watch where women have been assaulted or disappeared, and I feel it, and it brings me something. It reminds me I'm still here and I survived some shit. It brings me awareness that I can send love and light out to that person that's still missing. And wherever they are, I send them. I physically imagine myself standing around them with open arms, filling them with love and light. Even if I know odds are they're probably still not here, but their spirit, I hope their higher self receives it and knows that they are loved. And I think it's just because we want to be seen. And I could be wrong. I want to be seen. I want to be acknowledged. And one of the things that I have learned is that has to happen from within. I had a conversation with my therapist not too long ago, and I was talking about being alone and some of the choices I've made and why I've chosen this. And I've chosen to be alone because I didn't want to be hurt anymore. Don't want to feel that anymore. It's my choice. If I imagine myself in loving arms, wow, what could that mean for me? I'm not there, by the way. We make decisions on our own survival, whatever that is. Sorry. Um, and I think, yeah, who are you, Mish? I can tell you who I think you are because of what you've done for me and the impact you've had on me. This journey that I went on, the Living Art year long program that I went on, I had to really want to look at my old self, my old behaviors, my old patterns, my old childhood wounds. I had to look at them. And I also had to acknowledge that I'm a participant in it. And my choice was to hang on, which is why forgiveness is so important to me, because releasing it, I wish it took off the physical weight, but I feel lighter. I'm not carrying it. And when something comes back or I have a remembrance, I almost can embrace it and say, all right, I love that. I love that memory because it reminds me of who and what I am now and where I am now. And then I send it away. I'm releasing it back out to be recycled by the universe into something else because I learned the lesson. The lesson had to teach me stuff, and it's not easy. None of this is easy. And I think that's why I love this community and why I wanted to be part of it, is because it's a lonely journey sometimes. And if we don't have these conversations, we hold it like we're the only ones that are experiencing stuff. I cannot relate to your situation, your emotions. We all have anger. It's differently, it manifests differently in each of us, right? You can feel love. You have children. I can't relate to the love a mother feels for her children or a father feels for his children. I have no compass for that. I can imagine what it would feel like, but I don't know what it feels like. I don't know what it feels like to have a partner, good, bad, or indifferent, in my life. It was a choice I made. I kept making bad choices, so I chose not to participate in that evolution of a relationship. It's a choice. I have to forgive the wounded girl and young woman who made poor choices. I may not have asked for violent assault. I may not have asked for being mistreated, but kind of I did. Because being mistreated was something I was familiar with and knew how to respond to. Not healthfully, but I knew how to respond. And when someone was nice to me, I didn't trust it because I knew the other shoe was going to drop. I think that's the analogy. So I, yes, Victor, better late than never. I appreciate you being here. Um, yeah, look, you have grief, and I'm here. I'm here. Grief is powerful. And as I said, forgiveness isn't about the other person at all. It's about you. It's not condoning someone's actions. It is about releasing for you. And I think that each of those elements that we go through, it's looking in the mirror and acknowledging our participation. Yeah, Mitch, there are so many people hurting right now. And hermiting is a survival mechanism. One of the things that we do as empaths, as healers, as maybe leaders within our community is we are like, we're take charge, we want to help everybody. And we can in most instances. But then our cup is full and it's just overflowing and it's going everywhere. We need to step back and take care of ourselves. We're the cup, we're the vessel, and the vessel needs to recharge. So there's nothing wrong with that. I also would challenge you that when the time comes to come back into the view, that you have new boundaries for yourself and for what you will take on. And but that has to come from what what it brings you. What value does being the go-to person in your community, what does it bring you? And is there another way of receiving that? Those are my opinions. They are not my professional advice. Um, and I think it's okay for you not to be ready. I think you know that there are people within this community, right here, um, that I'm here. I'm a good sounding board. I'm also really good at saying, do you want me to respond or do you just want me to listen? And you can change your mind at any point, but sometimes you just want someone to hear and witness you. And forgiveness is witnessing you. Yeah, I think you guys are really incredible humans and you're an incredible community. Love is love. We were put here for love. And there's a lot that comes in front of us that blocks us from moving forward to have and be loved. And so, I encourage you to take that moment in time, maybe write it down, like I said, in a letter or a bullet point, and then burn it, release it. It could be about someone you love intensely. It could be about your husband, your wife, your sister, your brother, your mother, your father, or anyone else that has perpetrated something, a hurt onto you, and release it. And if you have to write it again tomorrow, write it again tomorrow. There's no time limit. It's an awareness. It's just being aware of the hurt, of the ache, of the pain. But you have to want to let it go. Because as we talked about earlier, the more that we hold on to stuff, it impacts our health. It impacts our emotions, our spiritual being, our soul. And that isn't something that, there's a time limit on. But in order for you to evolve into the new version of you that you want, you have to reconcile the old version. Oh, Mish, that's really great. You're working on here, let me put it up before we go because I didn't realize I was over time. You're working on a video that is nothing but laughing at life, hoping to share it soon, but it helps me. Hope it just takes some of us away from the yuck for even just a moment. And sister, universally, there's so much yuck. So I totally would appreciate the laughing. Elizabeth, thank you for being here. Um, we're getting ready to shut down, but yeah, I mean, we have to do it. So, guys, I'm reading the comments that don't see them. Escaping by laughing is the best medicine. If you need to laugh, laugh and find whatever video. For me, hearing little kids giggle and laugh fills my heart so much I can't help myself but laugh. Seeing my two chucklehead puppies chase each other around, with my little one, Luca, grabbing his brother's tail and holding on for dear life like it's going to come off and he can play with it. Makes me laugh. So, yes. Karen has here a love letter to realism in a time of grief. Mark Pollock and Simone George. Oh, I'll have to remember that. I don't have a paper in front of me. Oh, but I can take a picture of it so I can go look it up. Hold please while I take a picture of that. So I remember to look it up. Okay, got it myself. I figured, ugh, but I'll still support you. I think I missed something. So, guys, again, my only pearls of wisdom when it comes to forgiveness is maybe just meditate on it and make an intentional, silent prayer that you no longer choose to carry this pain, that you release the hold this hurt has on you. I forgive because it was not because it was okay, but because I choose peace over pain, freedom over resentment. And then I'm just going to imagine that dissolving in front of my face, setting that note on fire and letting it go. I think forgiveness is a practice, and it's something that we have to do all the time. I just want to thank you guys so much for being here, for participating with me, for engaging with me. It means the world to me. Your friendship means the world to me. I hope that you can come away feeling a little bit lighter and freer with this discussion, and to remember that forgiveness isn't about them. It's about you. It's for you. And I don't want to lose that link. So let me just go to this so I don't lose it. And pause this. And come back to here. So, as always, I send you with healing, love, light, community, friendship, compassion, forgiveness, love, 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 so much love. So much healing. Thank you for being on this journey with me. May you be sprinkled with laughter and giggles and joy until we meet again. I love you guys so much. Thank you for bringing so much to my life.
I'm like an ice skater dancing out for the first time on the form solid ice. No more fears, no sorrows, because I love the common tomorrows. This life has barely begun, but now I know what I want to do. I know what I want to be, reborn. Finally feeling I am fulfilling my destiny, with a heart filled of gratefulness, happiness, joy, overflowing of kindness and love. Oh, so much love. I feel like love is the supportive pillar in my soul, and it only grows each day. I'm reborn in love.